Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Fat Real Estate Checks, the podcast where we discuss amazing secrets of the wealthy. My name is Marco Kozlowski. Terrible at that intro. Don't think I'm going to cut it out though, because hey, I'm not perfect, and we just had a podcast on perfection, not progress, not perfection. See, I can screw it up and still do a podcast. Boom. I'm joined today with Gabriel Araish. Francesco Galluccio is tied up today, possibly literally. We shall see. And if you are new to this podcast and our zany kind of humor, stop listening now and listen to the first 10 episodes, as you can discover how we use skills, not money, to buy cash flowing assets without using any money whatsoever. I just said that. I'll say it again. Never using our own money, because if you understand what to do and how to do it, you can create your own deal flow at will and buy as many cash flowing assets as you want, as long as you follow process. And this is what we discuss in this series. The most likely over 150 episodes that we've done in the last year and a half or so, and on our way to 2,000 5-star reviews, which is a high five for all of us and you, the listener, because we couldn't do it without you. So please like us, love us, share us, whatever you can on social. Tell everybody you know on how awesome this content is, and we would definitely appreciate it. And to reciprocate, we will continue giving you phenomenal content as we go on this journey of discovery on the small little details that make a big difference in life, in business, and in the cash flowing real estate business. So we're always delighted to help you out as much as possible. And if you can scratch our back, we'll scratch yours and in this content. And thanks for listening and tuning in. So Gabe, I think we're going to talk about objectives and objectives within objectives and objectives within objectives within objectives within objectives.
This is like Inception. It's
objective. It's objection.
Yeah. Objection.
Objection.
Yeah.
Objection.
Again.
Ooh, I can't even say
progress.
It's not perfection. High five on that.
Yeah.
So let's first, I'll let you explain the topic, because I'm sure some of you are scratching your heads going, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, yeah.
So what the fuck does that mean?
Well,
what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about I guess we all have a big picture of what we want, or in whether it's in life, whether it's in business, whether it's in a particular transaction, but there's multiple steps that need to be added up in order to arrive at that big picture. And it's understanding that these steps are there, which are little mini objectives. And even within those objectives, there are smaller objectives. So if we want to kind of make this a little bit more concrete with example, let's just say we're going to use a real estate transaction in order to...
Let's use soccer.
Let's use soccer. All right. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That's actually a simpler...
Yeah,
it's a simpler picture.
Everyone hopefully can understand, or football or hockey, or whatever sport there is.
Correct.
Everyone wants to win the cup.
We've used soccer a lot. Let's use football for our American friends here. Are probably more familiar with that sport.
Are we? So you want to talk about European football then? That's no problem.
Hilarious. Yes. Let's talk about American football. Oh, you keep mentioning quarterback, and it's hilarious when you talk about football, because I don't think I've ever seen you watch a game before. But
I have watched one game, and I still don't understand the game. I know it's a great game.
There's a game within the game, and
there's a game within the game within the game. But let's
look at football. So your objective is obviously to score a touchdown when you're on offense, and say you're at the 10-yard line. Is the play always to throw a 90-yard pass in order to get to the end zone, or is it small 2, 3, 4-yard plays just to keep getting first downs? So there's an objective of possibly 9 first downs to get to the touchdown, but even within those downs, within those first downs, you got 3 downs to actually get that first down. Really, you have 4, but let's assume you're not punting. You got 3 downs to get there. So those are all mini objectives, right? Your first play is around, you're going to inch your way to that 10 yards. You're going to inch your way. You're going to get 3 yards and 4 yards. Now, could it be that you get 25 yards on a play? 100%. But your objective is always to keep moving forward without stopping. So even if you're held back or there's a hiccup and you get sacked and now you lose 5 yards, your objective is still that first down line, so you can get a fresh new set of downs and move forward. So very simple. You always need to understand that there's small objectives and there's small wins in the process in order to get to your final destination, which in this case is a touchdown or the end zone. But the same applies for any sport. The same applies for really any transaction that you're doing in business. In real estate, we do this all the time. Your objective is to get the property at the lowest possible price or with the best possible terms. But in order to get there, there's a lot of steps, and those are all objectives. And even within these objectives, like even a small item like sending an email to a broker or to a seller, there needs to be an objective before you do that. You need to have or understand what your goal is in that sequence of you sending that email before you even draft it. Otherwise, you're just putting words on a sheet and sending it.
Since I understood about a quarter of what you said, because I'm still trying to figure out where the goalie is in all this, and I know there's no goalies in football. I'm not as dumb as I look, but for those that maybe don't understand football, American football, because I know there are most likely others that don't. Even when we're driving, let's say you're going from Florida to Los Angeles in a car, and you're driving that distance, you have a map, you have a general idea of where you're going, but you're not trying to get there in one shot. You're taking a road, and then there are exits to take to get gas, and then you have to feed yourself. And if there are things that you want to do along the way, your objective is not necessarily get to the end the first day. It's to get, okay, we're going to get here
Next stop
today, right? And when we need gas, then we'll deal with it at that point. But things happen. If you get a blown out tire, your objective is now let's pull over, fix the tire. That's your objective, right? And then move on from there. So there's always an objective within the objective, and your objective can't necessarily be, when you start, money. We've said this before in your mission, vision, and purpose. Your MVP can never be money driven. It has to be something that serves your counterparts, and I'm talking specifically in business now, because it's really hard to, I think, describe this, your mission, vision, and purpose in someone else's universe in a car. But as far as, what you're going to accomplish when you're in business, each email, I said this on the last podcast, our opener, our marketing is designed to get a certain percent of response rate. Something in my throat, forgive me. I shouldn't have eaten those. I don't know. I was trying to think of something funny, and it wasn't happening. Where was I? Yeah. So we have an objective of what our marketing should be, and that's all the objective that we have. And if we don't reach that objective, we tweak what we're going to say to make sure that the next time we send out our marketing, it achieves at least that, and we'll continue to tweak that until that first step is done. Our second objective is to process things quickly and in certain categories. And if we aren't processing quickly, then we have to fix our objective or streamline our objective or our timing to be in line with that. But that's a mini objective within the large objective. And when we get to eventually the communication, or the gap compression as we call it, there's every email, every text, everything that we have within that communication has its own objective as well, as you were saying, so we can stay on track. And each mile marker that we travel is important, right? Because are we going forward, or are we going behind? Are you moving in the right direction, or are you lost? And it's easy to get lost in conversations in business, but if you're really clear on what your main objective is and mini objectives to get to that objective, you're going to get to your destination a lot faster than someone that's just wandering everywhere in an S, eventually maybe getting to where they need to go, but they've lost sight as to what their objectives are. And that's usually where people put in a lot of work with absolutely no results, lack of objectives.
That's true. Yeah.
I guess Is that are we?
That was well. I mean, it was well said. I mean, I can't really add anything to that with respect to the process, but ultimately, if and the better students are the ones who understand that there's a mini objective, because we can all get lost in the process of communication specifically, because I guess when you're doing math or you're processing, the only thing you can be doing is maybe doing too much of it, or you're digging too much into you're getting into the weeds too much. So that's usually a place where it's easy to course correct. But in the process of a communication, every time an email gets sent to you and you're reading it, we keep saying things like active listening and all that, which are all great. But once you're about to press send on your email or on your text message, before you do that, do you know why you're sending that text message? Do you know why you're sending that email? What are you trying to do with that? Are you trying to get something? Are you trying to get your counterpart to give you something? These are all important steps in the process of communications in order for you to get to your main objective, which is, well, in this case, getting to the property at the best price or the best possible terms.
Right, by serving the seller at the end of the day. And we can't serve the seller until we have certain data from the seller, because they're the only ones that can give us the data. And the less baggage you have, the faster that will be, which are all past podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Past podcasts. Don't know what's going on with me today. I've got the case of the opposite of Frank's. I don't know. Can't get the words out of my mouth. I had something really clever to say before I had that brain fart, and I just had another one. Also knowing in line with what you said about objective of what you're trying to get or move the deal along, but also what does your counterpart need to do in order to move this along, right? So if you're trying to get some information, they have to be clear as to, that if they give you this information, they're going to, it's moving the deal along, and you're not just asking the information to ask the information. Because I spoke with someone today where they were asking one more thing. They haven't even sent out their first, their runway response yet, which if you're not in the tribe, you won't necessarily know what that is. It's, it's something that we send out as early on as possible in the conversation once we have key pieces of information. But the conversation was roped around arguing over if the property made money or not, versus just saying, if I make you an offer, you're going to hate it and it's going to be low. So there were plenty of conversations that were distracting the main objective, which is getting your counterpart to really beg you for a low offer, which we get significant. That's part of the process, is getting people to what we call beg. And I'm going to say it in another way too, if this is helpful for the listener, for you. My daughter once came in at 2:30 in the morning. We were worried sick about her. She was around 16, maybe 15, 16 years old, came in drunk. And the first question I asked her is, A, are you okay? And B, where were you? What happened? And she says, Dad, make me a sandwich. And this happens all the time in life. And and if I'm distracted by Dad, make me a sandwich, and I say, well, do you want a ham sandwich or do you want a roast beef sandwich? I'm in the wrong direction. I've been distracted by my objective, which is knowing where she is and if she's okay and how is she drunk at this age. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, what the fuck? But all too often, you have a clear objective when you start the conversation, and your counterpart is saying something that's distracting you from your actual objective, and it's important to listen to see if the questions that you're being thrown at, or the direction that your counterpart is going into, are in line with your objective to course correct it back on track. That's kind of where I was going with that in a roundabout way. I've lost my objective here for a second, so I think I found it. But being laser focused on making sure that the feedback or the conversation is also focused and stays focused with the main objective at all times, even within those mini objectives.
But
that's where I was going with that.
But that's great, because it reminds me of actually an interaction I was having with a student. Is the feedback you're getting from your counterpart, in your case your daughter, if she kept telling you, you make me a sandwich, and then you asked her the question again and she's like, go get me a drink, that's feedback in and of itself. It means that what you're trying to convey isn't clear enough, and you got to get clearer about that. So, I have this student whose seller is not providing her with what she needs in order to get to closing, and she keeps telling them, well, how am I supposed to close if you don't give me the information? And they keep saying, well, we gave you everything we have, and it's specific because she's working on a deal where there's a franchise behind this, and she got franchise reports, for example, for the month of, I don't know, March, June, and August, and she didn't get any of the other months. So, and they keep telling her that we've given you everything we've provided. So I said, well, did you ask them if their machine only produces reports every year for those 3 months specifically and no other months? Like, what happened to the other months? And she's like, oh yeah, that's right. And then she'll keep asking the question of, well, how are you expecting us to close without giving us the information? And then
without being clear as to what the actual information is.
It was like circular. It was like a turd in a toilet. That's exactly what's going on. And so, like, today, I'm like, did you tell them that you got the reports for this month specifically, that month specifically, that month specifically, and that's it? Like, explain to that. There's in the portfolio, there's a lot of hotels that are franchised, and those reports come out like clockwork every single month. So, this isn't our first day at the zoo. We know this, but sometimes the seller doesn't know, and you need to be clear. So that to me was, she wasn't understanding the objective of her communication. That was A. And B, she wasn't listening to the seller, which was giving her feedback that evidently her communication wasn't clear enough. So hopefully that's rectified, but this is why it's important to understand your objectives within your objectives.
Yeah, but that's a much more advanced example, and I know some of you will get that and some of you won't, but it doesn't really matter. It's
clarity in this case.
Absolute clarity. You nailed it. It's clarity. Absolute clarity. Because if you're asking, I hate to repeat what you just said, but it has a merit to repeat it, is be as clear as possible in your communication and your objective, and each communication has to have clarity to reach your main objective. And recognize as well that if you're wanting bank statements or what the model of this car is, or whatever data that you need in order to make a decision, that you're very clear as to what. If you just say, for example, I didn't finish that last thought, but I think it rolls into this one where I need information in order to proceed. Well, what information do you? I gave you everything I have. They aren't clear on what information you're missing. So, unclear communication and equals frustrated for both parties because of neither party is really being clear.
Yeah, if you don't reach your objective with what you're saying, there's two things: either the feedback is that your objective isn't clear enough, or two, it's not communicated the right way. I mean, it's an easy fix after that, but you got to recognize it first.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's all we have to say about that. So thank you, listener, for that. Our objective was to communicate objectives within objectives, and hopefully we nailed it. And if we didn't, let us know. And if we didn't, let us know. If we did, you tell us and give us a 5-star review as we're inching towards 2,000 of them. We would love your contribution on that. Thank you, Gabe, for investing your time in this, and Frank as well for being absent, because we can do a podcast a lot sooner and less time, reaching our objective a lot sooner. We do miss you, Frank, as I whispered at the last one, in case you didn't hear it. We miss you, Frank. We do. I miss you a lot.
I love you.
I miss you. I love you too, Gabe, and I love you, Frank, and we love you, the listener. We love everybody. We're lovers. We're not, we're designed to love, and we have objectives as well. And I hope you have an objective, and focus as much as you can. Make sure you're clear on what your objectives are. Be tactical as much as you can, and know where you're going, and don't get lost within what you really want to achieve for your life. And the more you fail to plan, the more you plan to fail. And you have to remember that as you move on this timeline that we call life, that is very, very short and very fleeting. So do the best you can with what you got. And we hope we've given you enough value that you can take some of what we've discussed today and apply it immediately. Let us know if something has worked or didn't work. We'd love to hear your feedback. send it to marco@marcokozlowski.com. Comment on the podcast, share it, and again, just help the community that we are in really learn to become better communicators, better people, and just give to give. And that's really our message. And we appreciate you very much. And I love you, man. And love you, Gabe and Frank and everyone else. I love you so much. You guys are so awesome. And thanks for putting up with our shenanigans this day. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great day and crush it. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Doodles. Bye for now. We miss you, Frank. We miss you very much. Save me. Save me, Frank.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for a life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.